Jake Martinez drove his old pickup truck down the empty highway. The clock on his dashboard showed 2:30 in the morning. He was tired after working his night shift at the auto repair shop in town. His hands still smelled like engine oil and grease, but he did not mind. He loved fixing cars and trucks more than anything else in the world. The road was dark and empty. Cornfields stretched out on both sides of the highway. Jake had driven this same road every night for the past 5 years. He knew every turn and every bump. But tonight, something was different. Strange lights flashed in the distance. They were not the usual red and white lights of airplanes. These lights were blue and green, and they moved in patterns that made no sense. Jake slowed down his truck and watched the lights dance above the corn. Field to his right dot, the lights suddenly dropped down behind the tall corn plants. Jake heard a loud crash that echoed across the quiet countryside. His first thought was that a small airplane had crashed. He pulled his truck to the side of the road and grabbed his flashlight from the glove box. Jake climbed over the wire fence and walked into the cornfield. The plants were taller than his head, and he had to push through them to move forward. The smell of dirt and growing corn filled his nose. He followed the broken corn stalks toward the place where he had seen the lights fall. After walking for about 10 minutes, Jake found something that made him stop and stare. A large metal object sat in the middle of the circle of flattened corn. It was not an airplane. It was nothing like anything Jake had ever seen before. The object was smooth and round, about the size of a small house. Its surface was dark metal that seemed to change colors in the beam of his flashlight. Strange symbols glowed along its sides in soft blue light. The symbols looked like no writing Jake had ever seen. They moved and shifted as he watched them. A low humming sound came from inside the object. Jake could feel the vibration through his boots. He walked around the strange craft, looking for a door or window. On the far side, he found a section of the hull that had been torn open. Smoke drifted out of the opening, and Jake could see sparks flying inside. Near the damaged craft, something moved in the shadows. Jake pointed his flashlight toward the movement and gasped. A figure stood beside the craft, but it was not human. The being was tall and thin, much taller than Jake. Its arms and legs were longer than they should be. Its skin was smooth and seemed to shimmer like oil on water. The creature's head was larger than a human head, and its eyes were big and dark. It had no hair that Jake could see. The alien creature was working frantically on some kind of machinery that had been pulled out of the damaged craft. Wires and tubes connected the machinery to the ship. The creature's long fingers moved quickly over the controls, but nothing seemed to be working right. Jake stood very still, not knowing what to do. The creature suddenly noticed him and froze. They stared at each other for a long moment. Jake expected the alien to run away or attack him, but it did neither. Instead, the creature pointed at the broken machinery and then at itself. It made gestures with its hands that Jake slowly began to understand. The alien was trying to say that something was broken and it needed help. Jake had always been good at understanding machines. Even when he could not read the manual, he could look at an engine and see how all the parts worked together. He could hear when something was wrong just by listening to the sounds it made. He walked slowly toward the alien, moving his hands in a peaceful way. The creature watched him carefully but did not move away. Jake pointed to the broken machinery and then to himself. He was trying to show that he wanted to help. The alien seemed to understand. It stepped aside and let Jake look at the damaged equipment. The machinery was unlike anything Jake had ever seen, but he could see how it was supposed to work. There were connections that had come loose and parts that had been knocked out of place. Jake set down his flashlight and rolled up his sleeves. He began to work on the alien machinery, using his hands to feel for loose connections and broken parts. The alien watched him work and began to help. It handed him tools that looked nothing like the wrenches and screwdrivers Jake was used to, but they worked the same way. For the next 3 hours, Jake and the alien worked together. They did not speak the same language, but they did not need. 2. Jake would point to a part that needed to be fixed, and the alien would understand. The alien would show Jake how to use one of its strange tools, and Jake would learn quickly. As they worked, Jake began to think of the alien as a person, not just a strange creature. The being was careful and gentle with the machinery. It seemed to care about doing the job right. Jake decided to call the alien Shimmer because of the way its skin changed colors in the light. Slowly, the broken machinery began to work again. The humming sound grew louder and steadier. The blue lights on. The craft began to glow brighter. Jake could feel the vibration getting stronger under his feet. When the last connection was made, the entire craft came alive. Lights danced along its hull, and the humming became a soft musical sound. Shimmer made noises that sounded like joy. And relief. The alien reached into a pocket in its strange clothing and pulled out a small crystal. The crystal was clear, but seemed to have light trapped inside it. Shimmer pressed the crystal into Jake's hand and wrapped Jake's fingers around it. Jake looked into the alien's large dark eyes and saw something he recognized. It was gratitude. The same look he had seen in the eyes of customers when he fixed their cars and got them back on the road. Shimmer climbed into the craft through an opening that Jake had not noticed before. The opening closed smoothly, leaving no trace of where it had been. The craft began to rise slowly into the air. It made no sound except for the soft musical humming. Jake watched as the craft rose higher and higher. When it was about 100 feet above the cornfield, it suddenly flashed with bright light. Jake had to close his eyes and turn away. When he opened them again, the craft was gone. Jake stood alone in the cornfield, holding the crystal in his hand. The only sign that anything had happened was the circle of flattened corn around him. He put the crystal in his pocket and walked back to his truck. As he drove home, Jake wondered if anyone would believe what had happened. He decided it did not matter. He had helped someone who needed help. That was what mattered most. Jake woke up to the sound of helicopters flying overhead. At first, he thought he was dreaming, but the sound got louder and louder until his whole house shook. He rolled out of bed and looked out his bedroom window. What he saw made his blood turn cold. Black cars and trucks surrounded his small farmhouse. There were at least 20 vehicles, all dark and official-looking. Men and women in black suits stood beside the vehicles, talking into radios and pointing at his house. Jake rubbed his eyes, hoping this was still a dream. But when he looked again, the vehicles were still there. More were arriving every minute. He could see people with cameras and equipment setting up around his property. The crystal that Shimmer had given him was still in his pants pocket from the night before. Jake grabbed it and looked around his bedroom for a place to hide it. He pulled up a loose floorboard near his bed and put the crystal underneath. Then he put the board back in place. A loud voice came from outside. "Jake Martinez, this is the United States government. Come out of your house with your hands visible. Do not try to run or hide anything." Jake's heart was beating fast. He had never been in trouble with the law. He paid his taxes and never even got speeding tickets. Why were all these government people at his house? Jake put on his clothes and walked to his front door. Before he could open it, the door exploded inward. Wood and metal flew everywhere. Jake jumped back as armed soldiers rushed into his house. "Get down on the ground," one of the soldiers yelled. "Put your hands behind your head." Jake did what they told him. The soldiers pointed their guns at him, while more people in suits walked into his house. A woman with short gray hair and cold eyes looked down at him. "Mr. Martinez," the woman said. "My name is Director Helen Cross. I work for a part of the government that most people never hear about. We need to talk." Jake was still lying on the floor. "What do you want? I did not do anything wrong." Director Cross smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "That depends on what you did last night. We know an alien spacecraft landed near your property. We know you made contact with whoever was inside that craft. We want to know everything that happened." Jake felt sick to his stomach. How did they know about Shimmer and the broken spacecraft? He had been so careful to keep it secret. "I do not know what you are talking about," Jake said. "I came home from work and went to bed." Director Cross nodded to one of her men. The man pulled out a tablet computer and showed Jake the screen. On the screen was a video that showed Jake walking through the cornfield with his flashlight. The video was grainy and dark, but Jake could see himself clearly. "We have satellites that watch everything, Mr. Martinez," Cross said. "We saw the alien craft land. We saw you approach it. We saw you spend 3 hours helping whoever was inside. And we saw the craft leave." Jake knew there was no point in lying anymore. "Yes, I helped fix their ship, but I did not do anything wrong. They were stranded and needed help." Cross laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "You have no idea what you have done. That alien was not supposed to make contact with humans. There are rules about these things, rules that keep people like you safe." She motioned to her men, who pulled Jake to his feet. "Take him to the transport," she ordered. "We are going to have a long talk about what happened last night." Jake was handcuffed and led outside. He could see his neighbors standing in their yards, watching everything happen. Mrs. Peterson from next door looked scared and confused. Jake wanted to tell her that everything was okay, but he was not sure that was true. They put Jake in the back of a black van with no windows. Director Cross sat across from him as the van drove away from his house. 2 soldiers sat on either side of Jake, making sure he could not escape. "Where are you taking me?" Jake asked. "To a secure facility where we can talk without interruptions." Cross said, "You are going to tell me everything about your contact with the alien. What did it look like? What did it say to you? Did it give you anything?" Jake thought about the crystal hidden under his floorboard. He was glad he had hidden it before they came. "It did not say anything. We could not understand each other." "But you worked together for 3 hours," Cross said. "You must have communicated." "Somehow. We used hand signals," Jake said. "Like pointing and showing with our hands. The way you would talk to someone who speaks a different language." The van drove for over an hour before stopping. When they let Jake out, he saw a large building with no windows and high fences topped with razor wire. Guards with guns stood at the entrance. Inside the building, they took Jake to a small room, with a table and 2 chairs. The walls were white and bare. There was a mirror on one wall, but Jake was sure people were watching him from behind it. Director Cross sat down across from Jake. She opened a thick file folder and spread photos across the table. The photos showed the alien spacecraft from different angles. Some showed Jake working on the machinery with Shimmer. "These photos were taken by our surveillance equipment," Cross said. "We can see everything that happened. But what we cannot see is what the alien gave you before it left." Jake tried to look confused. "It did not give me anything." Cross leaned forward. "Mr. Martinez, lying to me is a very bad idea. We know the alien handed you something before getting back in its ship. We have video of the whole thing." She pulled out another photo. This one showed Jake and Shimmer standing next to each other. Jake could see Shimmer's hand reaching toward his own hand, but the photo was too dark to show the crystal clearly. "It was just a handshake," Jake said, "like saying goodbye." Cross slammed her hand on the table. "Do not lie to me." Aliens do not shake hands. They do not understand human customs. That creature gave you something, and I want to know what it was. Jake remained quiet. He did not want to tell them about the crystal. Something inside him said that the crystal was important and that these people should not have it. Director Cross stood up and walked around the room. Let me explain something to you, Mr. Martinez. Earth has been in contact with alien species for over 50 years, but we keep that contact secret from people like you. Do you know why? Jake shook his head. Because most humans are not ready to know about aliens, Cross continued. They would panic. They would demand access to alien technology. They would want to travel to other planets. It would cause chaos and war. So you lie to everyone? Jake asked. We protect everyone, Cross said. We make sure that contact with aliens happens slowly and carefully. We make sure that humanity is ready before we reveal the truth. But I was ready, Jake said. I helped that alien fix its ship. I did not panic or cause trouble. Cross sat back down. You caused more trouble than you know. That alien was not supposed to be here. It was not supposed to make contact with humans. By helping it, you have created a problem that could take years to fix. Jake did not understand. What kind of problem? The alien you helped belongs to a species that follows very strict rules about contact with developing worlds like Earth. By accepting your help, it broke those rules. Now its people are angry, and they want to know why one of their own made unauthorized contact with a human. Director Cross opened another folder. Inside were photos of different alien species. Jake saw beings that looked like insects, others that looked like plants, and some that looked like nothing he could describe. There is a whole galaxy full of intelligent species out there, Cross said. Most of them are more advanced than humans. They could destroy our entire planet without even trying. The only reason they leave us alone is because we follow their rules about contact. Your friend out there broke those rules, and now they are asking questions about why it happened. Questions that could put Earth in danger. Jake felt a cold, fear growing in his stomach. I just wanted to help. I know you did, Cross said. But good intentions do not matter when you are dealing with beings who could wipe out humanity if they decide we are a threat. She leaned across the table. So I'm going to ask you one more time. What did the alien give you before it left? Jake looked into her eyes and saw that she was scared too. She was not just being mean or trying to control him. She really believed that what he had done was dangerous. Jake also remembered the look in Shimmer's eyes when they worked together. It was not the look of someone who wanted to hurt anyone. It was the look of someone who was grateful for help from a friend. It did not give me anything, Jake said quietly. Director Cross stared at him for a long moment. Then she stood up and walked to the door. Then you are going to stay here until you remember what really happened. And I hope for your sake and everyone else's that you remember soon. Jake sat alone in the white room for hours. Guards brought him food and water, but no one would talk to him. The room had no windows and no clock, so he could not tell what time it was. He tried to sleep, but the bright lights stayed on all the time. On the second day, Director Cross came back. She looked tired and angry. She sat down across from Jake and opened a new folder full of papers. I have been talking to my superiors, she said. They are very concerned about what happened in that cornfield. They want me to tell you some things that most humans never learn. Jake sat up straighter. What kind of things? Cross pulled out a photograph and slid it across the table. It showed a large building in the desert with strange aircraft parked outside. The aircraft looked like they might be alien ships. This is Area 52, Cross said. You have probably heard of Area 51, but that is just a regular Air Force base now. Area 52 is where we really keep the alien technology. Jake stared at the photo. How long have you been hiding this? Since 1947, Cross said. That is when we made our first official contact with an alien species. They told us that Earth was being watched by something called the Galactic Collective. Do you know what that is? Jake shook his head. Cross pulled out another photo. This one showed what looked like a space station, the size of a city. The Galactic Collective is like a government for the galaxy. It has thousands of different alien species as members. They make the rules about which planets can do what. What kind of rules? Jake asked. Rules about technology, Cross said. Rules about travel between stars. Rules about which species can talk to which other species. And rules about planets like Earth. She pulled out a map that showed the solar system. Earth was marked with a red circle. Earth is what they call a protected developing world, Cross continued. That means we are not allowed to have certain kinds of technology. We are not allowed to travel to other star systems. And we are not allowed to communicate with other species without permission. Jake felt angry. Who gave them the right to make rules for us? They did, Cross said simply. They are older and more powerful than we are. If we break their rules, they can destroy our entire planet. So we follow the rules. But that is not fair, Jake said. Humans should be free to make their own choices. Cross laughed bitterly. Fair has nothing to do with it. The galaxy is full of species that are millions of years older than humans. Some of them have technology that seems like magic to us. They could turn our sun into a black hole if they wanted to. She pulled out more photos. These showed different alien species working together on massive projects. Jake saw spaceships the size of mountains and machines that looked like they could reshape entire planets. The collective tells us that the restrictions are for our own good, Cross said. They say that young species like humans are too violent and unstable to be trusted with advanced technology. They say we need to prove that we can live in peace before we can join the galactic community. How do we prove that? Jake asked. By following their rules for a few thousand years, Cross said. By staying on our own planet and not causing trouble. By letting them slowly introduce us to new technology when they think we are ready. Jake thought about this for a moment. But you have alien technology here. How is that following the rules? Cross nodded. The collective allows us to study some of their old technology. Nothing too advanced, and nothing that could be dangerous. It helps us understand how the galaxy works without giving us the power to threaten anyone. So we are prisoners, Jake said. We are protected, Cross corrected. There are species out there that would destroy Earth just for the raw materials. The collective keeps them away from us. Jake did not believe her. If they wanted to protect us, why would they not tell us the truth? Why do you have to lie to everyone? Cross was quiet for a moment. Then she said, because most humans would not accept the restrictions if they knew about them. They would demand access to alien technology. They would want to build starships and explore the galaxy. They would try to fight against the collective. And that would be bad? Jake asked. It would be suicide, Cross said. Humans with our current technology could not fight the collective. We would all be killed, and Earth would be given to some other species that follows the rules. She leaned forward. That is why what you did was so dangerous. The alien you helped was not supposed to be here. It was on some kind of secret mission, and by helping it, you became part of that mission. Jake remembered working with Shimmer on the broken machinery. It just needed help fixing its ship. Maybe, Cross said. Or maybe it was testing to see how humans would react to contact. Maybe it was gathering information about our technology. We do not know because you did not tell us what happened right away. She pulled out the last photo in her folder. It showed Jake and Shimmer working together on the alien machinery. Even in the dark, grainy photo, Jake could see how well they had worked as a team. This photo has been seen by people in the collective, Cross said. They are very interested in how quickly you understood alien technology. They are asking questions about human mechanical abilities. Is that bad? Jake asked. Cross nodded. It could be. If the collective decides that humans are more advanced than they thought, they might change our protection status. They might decide that we are ready for more restrictions instead of fewer. Jake felt confused. I thought you said the restrictions would be lifted when we proved we were ready. That is what they told us, Cross said. But we have been following their rules for over 70 years, and nothing has changed. Some of us are starting to think that the restrictions will never be lifted. Why not? Cross was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was different, sadder and more tired. Because maybe the collective does not want to protect us, she said. Maybe they want to control us. Maybe they are afraid of what humans might do if we had access to the same technology they do. Jake thought about this. You mean they are scared of us? Think about it, Cross said. Humans went from riding horses to landing on the moon in less than 70 years. We invented computers and the internet in just a few decades. Most alien species take thousands of years to develop new technology. She pointed to the photo of Jake and Shimmer. You figured out how to repair alien machinery in 3 hours. Machinery that took that alien's people centuries to develop. What do you think would happen if all humans had access to that kind of technology? Jake began to understand. We would advance very quickly. Too quickly, Cross said. We might become more powerful than some of the species in the collective. And they do not want that to happen. So they keep us trapped here, Jake said. Cross nodded. And they tell us it is for our own good. Jake felt angry again, but this time it was a different kind of anger. It was not just about being locked up in this room. It was about his whole species being locked up on their own planet. What about the alien I helped? Jake asked. What will happen to it? Cross shrugged. Probably nothing good. The collective does not like it when their people break the rules. It will be punished for making contact with you. Jake thought about Shimmer and how grateful the alien had been for his help. The idea that Shimmer might be punished for accepting help made Jake feel sick. There is something else, Cross said. The alien gave you something before it left. We know it did because we have sensors that detected an energy signature transfer. Whatever it gave you, the collective wants it back. Jake remained quiet. If you do not tell us what it was, they might decide to come and get it themselves, Cross continued. They might send ships to search your entire town. They might decide that all humans who live near you are a security risk. Cross leaned back in her chair. So I am going to ask you one more time. What did the alien give you? Jake looked at the photos scattered across the table. He thought about everything Cross had told him about the collective and the restrictions on humanity. He thought about Shimmer being punished for helping a stranger. And he thought about the crystal hidden under the floorboard in his bedroom. He had no idea what it was or what it could do, but he was starting to think it might be important. It gave me a small crystal, Jake said finally. Cross sat up straight. What kind of crystal? What does it look like? It is clear, but it has light inside it, Jake said, like trapped lightning. Cross grabbed her radio and spoke quickly into it. Send a team to the Martinez house immediately. Search for a crystal device. Handle it carefully and bring it here as soon as you find it. She looked back at Jake. You should have told me this sooner. That crystal could be a communication device or a weapon or who knows what else. It felt warm, Jake said. Like it was alive. Cross paled. Warm? Are you sure? Jake nodded. Cross stood up and walked quickly to the door. I need to make some phone calls. Do not go anywhere. As if Jake had anywhere to go. That night, Jake lay on the narrow bed in his cell, staring at the ceiling. The government people had found the crystal under his floorboard, just like Director Cross had ordered. They brought it to the facility in a special metal box and took it to a laboratory somewhere in the building. Jake felt empty without the crystal. Even though he had only had it for 2 days, it had felt important, like it was meant for him. Now it was gone, and he was stuck in this white room with no windows and no hope of getting out. Around midnight, something strange happened. The lights in Jake's cell flickered and went out for a few seconds. When they came back on, there was a soft blue glow coming from the corner of the room. Jake sat up on his bed and watched as the blue glow grew brighter. Slowly, a shape began to form in the light. It was Shimmer, but not really there. Jake could see through the alien's body like it was made of colored smoke. "Jake Martinez," Shimmer said. The words came out in perfect English, which surprised Jake because they had not been able to talk to each other before. "How are you talking to me?" Jake asked. "And how are you here?" "I thought they took the crystal away." Shimmer's image smiled, which looked strange on the alien's face. "The crystal, you call it, yes, but crystal is not the right word. It is a learning device. It watched and listened while we worked together. It learned your language and your way of thinking." "Where are you really?" Jake asked. "I am far away, on my ship," Shimmer said. "But the learning device can send my thoughts across great distances. I wanted to talk to you before they destroy it." "Why would they destroy it?" Shimmer's expression became sad. "Because your government is afraid of what I might tell you. They want to keep you from learning the truth about your world and your people." Jake stood up and walked closer to the glowing image. "Director Cross told me about the Galactic Collective and the restrictions on Earth. She said you are not supposed to make contact with humans." "She told you some truth, but not all truth," Shimmer said. "Yes, there are restrictions on your world, but they are not to protect you. They are to control you." "What do you mean?" Shimmer raised one of his long arms, and images began to appear. In the air around him, Jake saw planets and starships and alien cities that were beautiful beyond anything he could imagine. "The collective is not what your government thinks it is," Shimmer said. "It is not a peaceful organization that protects young species. It is a group of old species that fear being replaced by younger, stronger ones." The images changed to show human inventions, cars and airplanes, and computers and rockets. "Your species learns and grows faster than any species the galaxy has ever seen. In just a few thousand years, you went from simple tools to space travel. Most species take millions of years to do the same thing." "Cross said that too," Jake said. "She said we advanced too quickly." "She was right about that," Shimmer said. "But she was wrong about why that is a problem. The collective does not fear that you will destroy yourselves. They fear that you will surpass them." More images appeared. These showed alien worlds that looked empty and dead. Many of the species in the collective stopped growing long ago. They became comfortable with their technology and stopped trying to improve it. They have been using the same machines and the same ideas for thousands of years. "But humans are different," Jake said. "Very different," Shimmer agreed. "You never stop trying to make things better. You never accept that something cannot be improved. That is why I was so amazed when you helped me repair my ship." Shimmer gestured, and the image showed Jake and the alien working together in the cornfield. "My people have been repairing ships the same way for centuries. But you looked at my broken machine and found a better way to fix it. A way that none of my people had ever thought of." Jake remembered that night. "It just made sense to me. I could see how the parts were supposed to work together." "Exactly," Shimmer said. "You understood in hours what takes my people years to learn. And you made it work better than it ever had before." "Is that why you gave me the crystal?" Shimmer nodded. "The learning device recorded everything about how you think and how you solve problems. But it also recorded something else. Something very important. What? The coordinates of other worlds like yours, Shimmer said. Worlds where young species are kept isolated by the collective. Worlds where intelligent beings are told they are being protected when they are really being imprisoned. Jake felt his heart beating faster. How many worlds? Hundreds, Shimmer said. Maybe thousands. The collective has been doing this for a very long time. New images appeared around Shimmer. They showed different alien species, all living on single planets, all looking up at the stars they were not allowed to visit. My people, the Zephyrians, are not part of the collective, Shimmer continued. We live in the empty spaces between their territories. We see what they do to younger species, and we do not agree with it. Can you help us? Jake asked. Not directly, Shimmer said. We are not strong enough to fight the collective, but we can give you information. We can tell you the truth about what is happening to your world. What good will that do if we are stuck here? Shimmer smiled again. Information is the most powerful tool in the galaxy. With the right information, even a small group can change everything. The alien's image began to flicker and fade. The learning device is running out of power. Your government is trying to shut it down. But I have one more gift for you. What kind of gift? The coordinates I mentioned. I have hidden them in the learning device in a way that your government will not find them. Only you know how to access them, because only you understand the repair method you used on my ship. Jake did not understand. How do I access them? Think about how you fixed my ship, Shimmer said. Remember the sequence of connections you made. Apply that same sequence to any computer connected to your internet, and the coordinates will appear. But I am stuck in this cell, Jake said. I cannot get to a computer. Shimmer's image was now very faint. You will not be stuck here forever. There are others in your government who do not agree with keeping the truth hidden. They will help you when the time is right. How do you know? Because humans are not the only ones who want freedom, Shimmer said. Some of your own people have been working to expose the truth about the collective for years. They are waiting for the right moment to act. The image flickered one last time. Remember, Jake Martinez, information is power. Use it wisely. Shimmer disappeared, leaving Jake alone in his cell. But he did not feel alone anymore. He felt like he had a purpose. He had information that could change everything for humanity. The next morning, Director Cross came to see him again. She looked worried and tired. The crystal stopped working last night, she said. Our scientists think it burned out its power. Source: did anything strange happen in here? Jake shook his head. I slept all night. Cross studied his face carefully. The crystal contained some kind of data storage system. Our computers are still trying to decode what was stored in it. But the encryption is unlike anything we have ever seen. What kind of data? Jake asked, trying to sound curious but not too interested. We do not know yet, Cross said. It could be star charts or technical specifications or messages to other aliens. Or it could be something more dangerous. She sat down across from him. Jake, I need you to think very carefully. Did the aliens say anything to you while you were working together? Any sounds or gestures that might have been communication? Jake thought about Shimmer's visit the night before, about the coordinates hidden in the crystal's data, about the other worlds trapped by the collective. No, he said, we just worked on the ship, no talking. Cross stared at him for a long moment. I hope you are telling me the truth. Because if that crystal contains what I think it contains, it could put Earth in serious danger. What do you think it contains? Jake asked. Information about other worlds, Cross said quietly. Information that the collective does not want anyone to have. Jake tried to keep his expression neutral, but inside he was excited. Cross was worried about the same thing that Shimmer had told him about. the coordinates of other trapped worlds. Why? Would that be dangerous? Jake asked. Cross stood up and walked to the mirror on the wall. Jake was sure she was looking at her own reflection, but he knew other people were watching from behind it. Because if humans knew there were other intelligent species being kept prisoner like us, they might try to contact them, she said. They might try to organize some kind of resistance against the collective. Would that be so bad? Jake asked. Cross turned around quickly. Yes, it would be terrible. The collective has weapons that could destroy entire solar systems. If they thought Earth was trying to organize a rebellion, they would eliminate us without hesitation. So we should just accept being prisoners forever. We should accept being alive, Cross said firmly. Being alive and safe on our own planet is better than being dead heroes floating in space. But Jake could see something in her eyes that did not match her words. She was scared, but not just of the collective. She was scared of something else. Director Cross, Jake said carefully, do you really believe that the collective wants to protect us? Cross was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was very soft. I believe that the collective is more powerful than we are. I believe that fighting them would be suicide. And I believe that my job is to keep you in it. Blake's escape plan was simple but dangerous. Late that night, she came back to Jake's cell with 2 other people. One was a security guard named Pete Williams, who had been working at the facility for 10 years. The other was a computer expert named Lisa Carter, who managed the facility's communication systems. We have been planning this for months, Dr. Blake explained in whispers. We knew that someday the government would find alien technology that could expose the truth about the collective. We just did not know it would happen like this. Pete disabled the cameras in Jake's cell while Lisa hacked into the security system. Within minutes, Jake's cell door was open and the 4 of them were moving quietly through the facility's corridors. The crystal is in Laboratory 7, Dr. Blake said as they walked. We have about 20 minutes before the night shift makes their next security check. They reached the laboratory without being seen. Lisa used her access codes to open the door, and they slipped inside. The room was full of alien technology that made Jake's eyes widen. Strange devices sat on tables under bright lights. Machines hummed quietly in the corners. In the center of the room was a metal box with thick glass sides. Inside the box was Shimmer's crystal, glowing softly with its trapped light. How do I access the information? Jake asked. Dr. Blake led him to a computer terminal connected to the crystal's containment box. We have been trying to decode it for days. The encryption is incredible, but you worked with the alien who created it. Maybe you can think like it thinks. Jake sat down at the computer and stared at the screen. Numbers and symbols scrolled past, but none of it made sense to him. Then he remembered what Shimmer had told him. Think about the repair sequence. Apply the same pattern to the computer. Jake closed his eyes and thought back to that night in the cornfield. He remembered how he had connected the broken parts of Shimmer's machinery. First the power coupling, then the data linkage, then the control circuits. Each connection had to be made in a specific order, or the system would not work. He opened his eyes and began typing. Instead of trying to break the encryption, he tried to connect to it the same way he had connected the alien machinery. He bypassed the security protocols and linked directly to the data core. Suddenly, the screen filled with information. Star charts appeared, showing the locations of hundreds of worlds. Each world was marked with symbols that Jake somehow understood. Red symbols meant collective-controlled worlds. Blue symbols meant free worlds. Yellow symbols meant worlds under quarantine, like Earth. There were far more yellow symbols than blue ones. My God, Dr. Blake whispered. Look how many species they are controlling. Jake continued working, following the same repair pattern he had used on Shimmer's ship. More information appeared. Technical specifications for faster-than-light communication. Devices, power generation systems that could provide unlimited energy. Most importantly, contact frequencies for the free worlds. This is everything we need, Lisa said excitedly. We can contact the other quarantined worlds. We can coordinate with them. And we can talk to the free species, Pete added. The ones who are not part of the collective. Jake found something else in the data. A detailed history of the collective's expansion across the galaxy. It showed how they had conquered or controlled thousands of species over millions of years. It showed how they prevented young species from developing by keeping them isolated and dependent. But it also showed something else. In recent years, more and more species had been breaking free from collective control. The old empire was starting to crack. We need to broadcast this information immediately, Dr. Blake said, before Cross realizes what we are doing. Lisa was already working at another computer terminal. I can upload everything to the internet simultaneously. Every news organization, every government, every university in the world will have access to it within minutes. Do it, Jake said. As Lisa worked, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed in the corridors outside the laboratory. They know we are here, Pete said. We need to hurry. Jake continued downloading information from the crystal. He found communication protocols that would allow Earth to contact the free worlds directly. He found the locations of collective military, bases and patrol routes. He found the names and locations of collective agents on Earth. Upload complete, Lisa announced. Everything is now public. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Director Cross's voice came over the facility's speakers. Dr. Blake, I know you are in Laboratory 7. Come out immediately, and we can discuss this rationally. Dr. Blake looked at Jake. Is there more information in the crystal? Jake nodded. Lots more. But I think we have the most important parts. Then it is time to go, Pete said. I know another way out of the building. They left the laboratory and moved through service corridors that Pete knew from his years working security. Behind them, they could hear Cross and her people breaking into the laboratory. As they reached an exit door, Jake stopped. Wait, I want to take the crystal with U.S. It is too dangerous, Dr. Blake said. They will track us down to get it back. But there might be more information we need, Jake argued. And besides, Shimmer trusted me with it. I should not leave it behind. Pete shook his head. The building is locked down. We cannot go back. Then we make our stand here, Jake said. We tell the world what we found and let them decide what to do with it. In the distance, they could hear helicopters approaching. Cross had called for backup. Lisa was monitoring news feeds on her phone. It is working, she said excitedly. News organizations around the world are reporting on the alien technology files. Governments are demanding explanations. The president is calling an emergency session of Congress, she continued. The United Nations is holding an emergency meeting. Everyone wants to know why this information was kept secret. Jake felt a surge of hope. What about other countries? Are they releasing their own alien information? Some are, Lisa said. Russia just admitted they have been studying alien technology since the 1960s. China is releasing files about UFO encounters. It is like a dam has burst. Dr. Blake was listening to her radio. Cross is trying to contain the situation, but it is too late. The information is spreading faster than they can stop it. Over the next few hours, the world changed. As Jake and his allies hid in a safe house that Pete knew about, they watched the news coverage with amazement. Scientists around the world confirmed that the alien technology files were genuine. Linguists began working to decode the communication protocols. Engineers studied the faster-than-light travel specifications. Most importantly, People began demanding answers from their governments. Why had this information been hidden? What else were they not being told? What right did the collective have to keep humanity isolated? 3 days after the information was released, something incredible happened. Earth received its first official communication from a free alien species. The Zephyrians, Shimmer's people, sent a message of support and offered to help humanity break free from collective control. Other free species followed. The galaxy, it turned out, was full of civilizations that opposed the collective's control over younger species. They had been waiting for someone to make the first move. Jake found himself at the center of a global transformation. Governments that had hidden the truth for decades were forced to reveal their alien technology programs. Scientists who had been sworn to secrecy came forward with incredible discoveries. Director Cross was arrested and charged with conspiracy to conceal information vital to national security. During her trial, she maintained that she had been trying to protect humanity. But the evidence showed that the collective's protection was really imprisonment. 6 months after, Jake helped fix Shimmer's ship. Earth launched its first faster-than-light communication array. The technology was based on specifications from the crystal, improved by human engineering techniques that amazed even the advanced alien species. Jake was invited to send the first official message from Earth to the galactic community. He thought for a long time about what to say. Finally, he decided to keep it simple. This is Earth calling. We are ready to join the galaxy as equals, not as prisoners. We offer our friendship to all species who believe in freedom and cooperation. And we want to thank our friend Shimmer, who showed us that helping strangers is the first step toward helping everyone. The response came back immediately from hundreds of worlds. Species that had been isolated for centuries suddenly had a voice. The collective's empire of control began to crumble as more and more worlds demanded their freedom. Jake returned to his auto repair shop, but it was now the unofficial headquarters for Earth's integration into galactic society. Alien diplomats came to visit the small town where humanity's liberation had begun. Engineers from dozens of species came to learn about human mechanical techniques. Shimmer himself arrived 6 months later in a new ship that incorporated both Zephyrian technology and human engineering improvements. The two friends Emra